So this was a piece of land which belonged to a farmer. 11.98 acres of land, to be precise. I paid £140,000 for the land in cash, and the planning applications refused. So I go back to the planning consultant, and he said, "Well, this beats me. This was, a pretty much a guaranteed, assured deal."
Seen some of the plans and the drawings, and they are amazing. It really is that aspirational, isn't it, that dream house? So you are looking to move in there, but you just haven't told the family yet.
So I'll now engage with some builders who actually have experience of building these type of homes, because it is a very specialist home. And I just wanted to obviously get through the pandemic, because there's a few other things going on. As you know, we're just finishing off the New England Club. St. Paul's Road, so that's pretty much finished now. We've started New England, that's going to be finished in a few months. The times are about right now that I'll approach some specialist builders who can start giving me some quotes, and then as soon as New England's done, we'll move over there and start work on Mavis Enderby.
Because it's one of those things that the sort of the materials that you're going to use for the construction have also got to be thought through and very different to what you would just sort of normally consider when you were almost thinking about just the other properties. So that's got to be very different as well.
Material, the detail, it's a passive house. It's energy efficient. Ticks a lot of boxes. It's not only modern in design and look, but the way that it's built, it's modern, eco-friendly. So it really does tick a lot of boxes in terms of being a fit-for-purpose modern home. So it needs that type of contractor who's used to doing that work.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be, isn't it? Because like you said, inside and outside and all around it, it's just going to tick so much of the green agenda that is really important, and it's going to look fantastic. So
and we've spent so much time obviously on the landscape now, especially through the design council, that the landscape is beautiful, really, really good.
And are you using all of the land? You said you've got sort of like, nearly 11, 12 acres. Are you going to use all of it for this?
So we're using just under half. So just call it for 5 acres, just to run. It's about 5 to 5.5 acres.
So I hardly dare ask what you're thinking of putting on the other bit of land, and what planning permission you're thinking of going for that.
Oh, wow. No, we'll have horses, we'll have sheep, we'll have chickens, we'll have a few ducks. That's what the other 5.5 or 6 acres are for. Yeah.
That's right. You've given up with building on the other part. You're just going to make it go really rural.
But it's one of those areas really with such a house. I think it's difficult to have another house like that with a different design, kind of back to back or kind of close to one another. But it really makes sense or lends itself to it to have that house and have all the kind of green space there for having pets or animals, and plenty of space to roam around. And obviously, if you've got kids, they can obviously play in that area. So it really is. The area there really belongs to the house.
Yeah, no, it's going to be lovely. So your perfect world now for timescales, what's that's looking like? You've had to go have a word with the construction people. When would you love to sort of like start going over there and getting people to start digging into the land and making it a reality?
New England will probably finish around about Christmas time, although the deadline's February. They're working very hard on that. So I'd say early part of next year, and because it's so specialist, I think it's going to take time to build. So I'd give it the best part of a year for the house to be built. So around about this time next year, we should be at least halfway through the construction.
Fine. Which is good. So one thing that you've always kind of like said, which you're probably not going to like this question, is that when you buy some property or you buy some land, you should always do the research for the area so that you know that what you're going to put up there will actually work. Obviously, where you started in this was completely different to where you've now got to. So are you going to be able to sell the property when you've done it? Do you think you've got the, or you're going to have to give it to somebody like me? Just asking.
I'm going to move in there.
You're not.
I am working virtually. All I need is the internet. I don't know how we're going to get internet there. I'm sure they've got internet of some quality. I'll be sat there and just doing my work through Zoom and Outlook and everything else.
Yes.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. Okay, then. That's fine. I think you've given us lots and lots of hints and tips and advice that you've learned all the way around here. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how it actually grows and develops. And obviously people will see some of the pictures as part of this. It's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that obviously in terms of research, and it's interesting because you're right. Not only do I advocate people should do research, I make sure I do the research myself.
Yes.
And it's interesting and odd that when you have somebody who you know reasonably well, who has a lot of experience and expertise, who comes up with an opportunity, and sometimes we can get blurred by that because they know a lot, they've done a lot of deals. This particular person I talk about has done some sizable developments. They know what they're talking about. And I leaned on their experience, knowledge, and expertise, and they said this was sound. So my lack of objectivity was evident in the sense that I relied on what they were saying as opposed to saying, let me now still check it independently like I would any other deal. And it's easier to look at that in hindsight and give that advice, but when you're kind of going through it, especially for the first time, because I've never been through this before, you can easily make that mistake because somebody you like, you respect, you're trusting, they know what they're talking about, they've done bigger deals. So if they're saying this is good, it must be good. So your kind of defense mechanism or your radar for checking information isn't as sharp because you think they've done most of the work, I'll just rely on them. So I guess the biggest takeaway or learning experience is make sure you do your due diligence. Doesn't matter who's brought the deal to you, how many deals they've done, how well you know them. You're investing the money, whether it's yours or the banks or joint venture partners or whoever, do the same due diligence you do every single time. And of course, the more due diligence you do, the better you'll get at it, the more you'll improve your process. So do it thoroughly, no matter where the deal comes from.
Absolutely. And of course, the other thing that you said that's really helped you go through the whole process is that good team that you have around you. And again, I know that's something that you've always been sort of like, very important to sort of stress that with people, have the right people around you that can also get you to where you've got to today, really.
Yeah, absolutely, because they know what they're doing. With the planning consultant, he was able to find that isolated location, inference or wording in the correspondence and pick up on that. I know him well, and I know he's got my best interests at heart, so I knew he was doing the right thing. I didn't give up. I persevered. And that's partly because I had a lot of faith in him. And I said, if he's saying this is workable, it's workable. In the end, obviously, he proved to be right. Somebody else perhaps would have applied for planning first time round and it wouldn't have gone through and may have given up, or applied second time round, hasn't gone through, may have given up. But I persevered to the third time. Of course, it's easy for someone to say, oh, you should have done an option agreement and then subject to planning. I tried all that. It wasn't going to happen. The deal was, you buy it now, this is how much you pay for it, take it or leave it. And I tried hard to do an option agreement. It just wasn't to be. And had I done an option agreement, by the way, and the planning wouldn't have gone through, it cost me best part of £45,000. I'd have walked away this way, although my money's been tied in longer. In the end, we got there.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
there's a sense of achievement.
Yeah, and it's going to be amazing watching it grow and build. And your first, house of exceptional quality and design. That'll be brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. That's going to bring in its own challenges and also learning and experience. But it's something unique, different. So it's going to push me outside my comfort zone, get me to think differently. And I think it's going to be a really interesting project for many different reasons. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. That's a good thing. You can keep us all posted. No,
Of course
thanks
you
for
will.
that. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Super. Thank you.